Welcome to Subtle Propaganda. I'm Drew, coming to you live from the volcano that will one day destroy us all. Joining me is Three Circles Mike, who has no idea what a Venn diagram is, Integrity Joe, who's late in light, and Rob. We will be talking about pop culture, world news, politics, military culture, fight videos, and the general state of the union. Are we charlatans? I don't know. You decide. Oh, and remember, like, subscribe, and share this podcast with your friends, and don't forget to tell us how wrong we were in the comments.
Yo, everybody, what's up? Welcome back. Thanks for joining us again for another fine episode. It's been a slow and kind of monotonous week. There's not much going on in the news and in the world. There's some pop culture stuff popping off, but which we'll all get to as we move through the show. But in my neck of the woods, I don't know if it's because of all the attention that Como's been getting or what, but they just legalized pot for everybody. So I guess it's a recreational thing now, which I never thought would happen. I think we've talked about it on the podcast before. I never saw that coming. So what do you guys think about it?
I was surprised to hear it. I was like, really? Is it legal now? Or is this like it's past the first stage of legislation and it's like working its way through, but isn't actually officially legal? Until I saw read an article that they started pushing out to the NYPD not to arrest people for smoking like weed in front of them or like out in public and shit like that. So I don't know what their laws are compared to California and other places, because that's the big that was the big thing. You couldn't smoke outside, right? You had to smoke in your home.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Here in New York City, no one really gives a fuck. You can kind of do whatever you want. Like I don't know, like maybe it was a pandemic thing, or maybe it's just white privilege or something. But like I was hanging out in the park during the COVID fiasco, and like me and a bunch of friends kind of got, not a bunch, but like me and like three other friends got together, and it's like me and John, and we're stout men, so we had like 90 beers. And they were just like out like in coolers and shit. And the cops rolled up to us and they're like, guys, I know bars are closed, but like you can't, you gotta at least hide it a little bit. It's still illegal to drink in public. So I mean, they don't really like, they're looking for real crime, you know what I mean? So they don't really fuck with people too heavy. Like if you're a fucking asshole and you're belligerently drunk, or you're being stupid, just like smoking weed in a park around kids or something, that you're probably gonna get fucked with. But like, we have plenty of like little parks along the river and stuff. And like if you just sat on a bench out there and smoked, I mean, there's cops everywhere, and no cop will ever say shit to you. It's really when like a cop does, maybe there's some power tripping cop who's like, hey, put that shit out, like there's kids around here, and you're like, fuck you, then okay, now you're gonna get a ticket, now you're gonna be in trouble. Same thing we've all known forever, right? Like
Right.
just normal shit. Just pour the beer out, put the joint out, and you're good. But yeah, they normally don't fuck with you. I don't think it's been decriminalized for a while, so you certainly were never gonna like go to jail. Like no one's gonna book you for it. I think at most you could get tickets or whatever for big possessions or something, or I don't know the exact laws, because I don't really walk around with pounds of pot through the city. It's inconvenient.
Yeah, it seems to be the way that most of the larger cities go, is that they kind of go with the decriminalization first because they got bigger fish to fry as far as the municipal police go. And then unless you create a headline, you're not going to become a headline. So,
Right.
in most cases.
Exactly. No,
And
that's a
then,
good way to put it.
New York's so free, you can teach neuroscience and conduct neuroscience research and do a little bit of crack cocaine every day and
Yeah.
maintain a healthy work balance life.
Snort some heroin by the fireplace at night.
Yeah.
For those of you guys who don't know what we're talking about Dr. Carl Hart, who is a lecturer at Columbia University. He's a researcher, first tenured African American neuroscientist at Columbia, who also likes doing heroin a lot, and he is open about it. It's kind of weird, but
Yeah, it's so
the
weird.
times they are changing.
The microdosing.
Yeah. No, he's not microdosing. He's just straight up like yeah, like instead of like having a couple of beers or a glass of whiskey every night, the dude does a couple lines next to his fireplace. Like that's what he said verbatim. Like
I don't think you can really microdose heroin, dude.
That's crazy, dude. you're an academic doing heroin. It's just like, oh, it's whatever.
Well,
Yeah.
it's weird because it's kind of like it's like his thing, right? Like it's his area of study. So like I think we've talked about it in the podcast once or twice before. We've never really done a deep dive. Maybe we should. I tried to take one of his courses at Columbia. Unfortunately, it just didn't jive with my schedule. I wasn't able to get in, but yeah, he basically is a drug researcher. Researches the effects of drugs on the brain. From like the pharmacokinetic and neuroscience, how those things clash or whatever. I don't pretend to understand that shit. It's way above my pay grade, but um I don't know. I heard him on Rogan. I completely wrote him off. I mean, he's obviously a smart guy, but like he seems like one of these very what is it called? Somebody help me out with the word here. Like, he seems like a very ideological person. He thinks that like the legalization of all drugs, he wants to make the United States like Portugal, right? Like that if we just legalized all drugs today, that tomorrow people would just forget drugs exist and they just wouldn't do drugs anymore. And like there would just be no drug problems. And it's like it's just kind of fucking whimsical. Um, like if you legalize drugs, there has to be, and we haven't studied these enough. I actually, I don't know if you guys care to talk about it, but like I've been doing, I did a weird deep dive on like all the pot studies that are out there, pretty inconclusive, nothing really major to report, but because the studies are light anyway, they use a lot of survey data. They're not, they don't really go, they do comparisons. For instance, like, okay, in 1980, they decriminalized, and then they study like how much, like we'll follow a cohort of kids and see 5 years after decriminalization, like if their usage has gone up. And it's like, well, that doesn't fucking tell us much. Like we need to compare that to national averages, like we need to do a more robust study, right? So their stats are way off and shit. So, um, but anyway, yeah, I kind of forget where I was going with that, but yeah, Carl Hart, interesting guy, wants to make US like Portugal, legalize all drugs. It's weird.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
I've
think it works like that.
maybe we should all read his. He just published a book, so maybe we should all read that because I guess he's put in the work from the people that I know that like I listen to like in other podcasts and stuff or like news covering this type of stuff, and I mean apparently he's done all the work and what he's found over the last couple of years that he's been working on. It could be groundbreaking stuff as far as when it comes to drug addiction or the way that we view it and design policy around it. So he has the receipts, as people like to say.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I would check it out. I mean, I honestly, I mean, I don't want to sound like a fucking jerk here, but it's like, and anyone who comes forward and says like, "Hey, America and their drug policies, could be better," is like, well, no shit, Sherlock. Like, all we do is lock you in jail if we find out you're addicted. Oh, you're addicted to drugs? Why don't you go to prison for a little while? That ought to help. And then when you get out, you're poor, you're more depressed. You know what I mean? And then you end up probably using even more drugs. It's like you probably end up using more drugs in prison. It's like, well, I don't think we necessarily have the best the best handle on that either. So I'd like to see what he has to say about that. But I don't know, from what I've heard of him in his interviews, a lot of his opinions, in my opinion, they're really fucking bombastic. They're crazy. Like seriously, he cites like really wacky stuff like, oh yeah, like we should just legalize all drugs, and then what we need to do is have government initiatives where we basically set up clinics where people can go get fucking high. And it's like,
I've heard that.
I don't know, that just violates my sense of like what American productivity looks like and like what classical American values are about. So like, I don't know. I mean, like, personally, I don't know. I don't have kids yet, but I'd like to think that like one day when I have kids, I'll leave them a little bit more than just like fucking opiates and the GWAT or something. You know what I mean? Like here's a 30-year war and an opiate crisis. Like have fun. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's so fucking weird that like anyone would even, I mean, I get it. We all fixate on different things, but like, really, that's the hill you want to die on, dude? Like, that's how you want to make the world a better place by giving people clinics where they could shoot up drugs and potentially ruin their lives. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's
When
just
you
like
juxtapose his ideas against the opiate crisis, it's like
right,
it doesn't make any sense to me. You've made
Well,
that point, Drew, which is a great point.
Right. I mean, yeah, like it's what do we have? An opioid crisis, or oh, if you just do it responsibly, everyone can do a little bit of heroin next to their fireplace, like
Yeah,
me.
exactly.
But I mean, it's also like we have a hard enough time convincing half of the American population that climate change may or may not be a thing. You think you're gonna get like people to pay their or send their tax dollars to establishing government-run facilities where you can go get high? I mean, you truly are out of your mind. Like
It's
that's
really
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah.
He
Big
obviously has not been outside the grounds of Columbia in a while.
no, no. Yeah.
Lost touch with reality.
So how did
Yeah,
this
I think to a degree.
how did the legalization pass? Like it just passed through state legislature, or like
To be honest, I have zero clue because I didn't even know it was on the docket. Like I was under the impression that New Jersey was going to be the first to get recreational, which New Jersey, you could throw a rock to it from Manhattan, right?
mhm.
Um, so that's a big deal, right? For New Yorkers, they could just go to New Jersey and buy their pot. Like so people were, they were excited about it. And then New Jersey's got shot down. Their recreational got shot down. So I was like, oh, that's dead in the water. And then next thing you know, boom, ours just magically popped up. I have no idea how the bill came through, who pushed it, if it was an executive order. Like this literally just hit me yet because I don't subscribe to the pot times or anything. I don't really know. I don't keep up to date on my drug legalization. So the last thing that I heard about crazy drug legalization was like Oregon. When they like legalize all drugs. So,
Going
um,
ham.
but yeah, so I'm not exactly sure how the legislation came about, but I woke up one morning and basically my social media was just filled with people going like, it's legal, it's finally legal, and then like sharing all these different pot producers, like these pot growers, who now are basically, fighting to get into this market and establish themselves here. So
It's nuts that it was like that fast. It's like
overnight,
boom.
dude.
That's crazy.
Como, man, he's
Mm.
trying to take the heat off, dude.
Yeah, he
He's got
Right.
is.
like I think he's got his 10th accuser, so I think he's
Yeah.
got to do something quick,
Yeah, Andrew Cuomo and Deshaun Watson both in hot water, having a whole
Yeah.
gang of women coming after him.
And
It's a
that's one
domino
way to make a
effect,
lot of people
once
happy.
one does it. Right.
It really does appear to be that way because, like, I don't know if you guys pay attention to the Deshaun Watson situation in the NFL. It's a very similar type of thing. Um, all these basically massage therapists are coming out saying that he did some inappropriate shit. It's like some crazy number up to like 20 something now that are
Okay.
accusing him.
Damn.
But I
A lot
believe,
of people.
I'm not up to date with it, but I believe as of this point, none of it is criminal. So it's all civil lawsuits against him. So there hasn't been any criminal charges filed against him, which makes it even more, I don't know, interesting.
Bandwagony.
I Sure, you said it.
Your words, not mine.
Yep. But yeah, I was just doing a cursory research on the legalization. It looks like it was just done the same way that Illinois did it through the state government legislation, and
Okay.
Cuomo signed the bill to make it a law. So
Gotcha.
I believe they are now the third state that's ever done that.
Oh wow.
Dang.
Yeah, because Illinois was the second.
So that's like the fast track route instead of like putting on the yearly the ballot and everything, and then like normally rolling it out. That's just
Ye-
like boom, done.
I mean, I guess it could be like, certainly in this case it is. But I think in others they're just diehard, staunch, stances against the legalization of it, and the only way you can get like momentum or initiative going is if you vote like on a proposition. Even then, it's not always. California took several tries, so which you would never
Yeah,
think that like that would ever happen. So
yeah.
it's
I was just
interesting.
thinking of it like here, where it's like voted in November, but in like the beginning of the year, then it actually started taking effect, and then it would take like another year before the actual infrastructure would be there. So
Right.
that's what I was thinking as far as the timeline goes.
Well, the
But
infrastructure's already here. So I've like I've dove that. It's very strange here, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing in chat, the 350 million in tax collection. You're gonna get me on my high horse.
Oh God.
Yeah, you're
Here
gonna
we
get me on my high
go.
horse, dude. Um, I'll try to reserve some of my comments for later, but I mean, dude, it drives me crazy, dude, because I just think the tax argument's like a weak argument to me because for legalization, I'm anti legalization, so it's like um, I'm pro decriminalization. I think like drug war stuff is really stupid, but like I think to have dispensaries on every corner, especially in a place like New York City, is just really stupid. Um, and Anyway, yeah, I think the tax argument sucks because government is notoriously bad at allocating tax money anyway. I think that there's been a lot of research done that shows that like when Colorado legalized, that most of that tax money was misappropriated and never made it to schools and never made it to places where you'd want it to go. Anyway, conversation for another day. I don't want to be too preachy, but at the same time, I've deep dove like how these people are already kind of situated and poised to capture the market, just from an interest of like economics interest, just kind of checking it out. But anyway, there's like, for instance, a big company out of LA called MedMen. It's like the show Mad Men, the old timey advertisers.
Yeah.
They have huge dispensaries like all over Los Angeles and other parts of California, and they have a MedMen here that literally, bro, is a huge. I mean, dude, like picture like what you see on TV in Times Square type of big ass shop. 2 stories with an escalator in it, and all of it is just like wall to wall, all CBD products right now. So they're just waiting. So they basically have all the infrastructure. They're ready. So it's, now that it's legal, I'm almost positive that all they have to do is just get the supply chain, and they're done. They're in. So there's several of them around town right now that do that. And then there's I mean, really, there are just a ton of medical dispensaries, not in Manhattan proper, but on the outskirts in the 5 boroughs. And they do some very weird stuff there too. Like, they have really weird laws. Like you can't buy, like whole flower marijuana. You have to, when they sell it to you, it has to be ground into this like fine powder. That so that you can only vape it, because basically the government's saying like, hey, if we're going to allow you to use medical marijuana, we're not going to let you get cancer from smoking it. So you have to vape it. And so they won't sell it to you in a way that you could smoke it. It's really crazy, dude. And this is what I'm saying. It's like all of that stuff is like, just in my opinion, just so inefficient. It's just not where, like, you have crumbling schools, you have crumbling infrastructure, and now you're paying some fucking bureaucrat for a year to write up that you got to grind up plant matter to a certain specification in order for it to be legal to sell to people. It's just, to me, it's just the wrong way that we should be doing things, but whatever. Nobody listens to me.
it's like they're never full committing, They're just, well, we're gonna give it to you, but we're gonna make it to where it's on our terms, so it still doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, it's
Like
government control. You've got some guy
it's
who doesn't know,
ridiculous.
he doesn't know anything about anything. He's literally sitting up there writing a rule. Like, they don't, these people, I don't think they really, they're not equipped to tackle these problems. It's not like they have like all these experts at their disposal who are guiding them. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I think a lot of the infrastructure too probably comes from having like the medical beforehand and having the CBD. Like, so
Yeah.
it's like you couldn't just go recreational straight out of the bat. That's why everybody goes medical first and then recreational. Give them
Yeah.
time.
I think you're right. And that's what I think is going to make it faster. I think it'll be like, I don't think it'll be tomorrow, but my hunch was like maybe by the summer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder when the sale or whatever is gonna start. I think ours was, I want to say it was past sometime maybe in the summer, and it was the next year, like the following year, that you could purchase it, like at
Yeah.
that new year or whatever.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know
That
it's
was a
like the
pretty
same
quick
in Colorado
turnaround.
too.
That was a pretty quick turnaround. Where others, like California, was like a full 1 or 2 year, like 2 year wait almost, I think, after the initiative passed.
Yeah, but they were doing delivery. So like I think that's what's going to happen here is like they're going to
Mm,
use delivery services long before they allow the storefronts. So because right now, technically, now that it's recreationally legal, you could just start your own business and just start selling pot. I'm sure it's illegal to get it over state lines, but like once it's here,
Right.
So
Yeah.
I
So
don't know.
weird how all that stuff works. It's like, well, now it's here, it's fine, but I'm not gonna worry about how it got here because it's already here. So we're like, oh well,
Yeah.
can't go especially if you live on state lines. If it's like 3 minutes across the state line to, it's almost like you forget. You probably drive across it so much.
It's all legal shenanigans, dude. It's all it is. It's all it is. But damn lawyers, man. Last thing we need. More financial intermediaries like me and lawyers. Last thing you need, dude.
Using those damn words, dude. Way too much.
Well, regardless of how the government ends up using that tax money from legal cannabis, what do you guys think this does for the long-term federal legalization possibilities or decriminalization of cannabis? Because this will be, I think, the 16th state, and then if you include DC, it'd be 17
Oh damn.
in the United States where it's completely legal.
Yeah, dude, I think they're putting the cart before the horse, bro. They should have federal legalization and they should be doing studies on this stuff before they're just like, yep, it's all good. Like let's mass pump this into society and just kind of see what happens. So I don't know, man. I'm sure it's not the end of the world, but I mean I feel like the federal government will move much slower, so I'm not really sure. Once again, shouldn't be what the federal government's focused on.
Yeah. I don't know either, because if all the states are legalizing it and people are like, oh well, if I could smoke it in my state or whatever, then I don't care if it's federally legalized. If it just doesn't get enough pressure to actually get through federally legalized, if every state ends up doing it on their own, like how does that work? If all 50 states have it legal, but it's still federally legal to cross state lines and banks and all the banking stuff,
Right.
is what I think. Like maybe it'll get to that point where it's all the states already have it legal, and now it's just tied up in red tape of like the shipping and like supply chains that it just gets overwhelmed with. Like, let's just change it already.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's looking at you now, Texas and Florida. You guys are like the last two dominoes to fall. Once they do, I mean, that's a majority of that'd be like all the major populated states almost, where it'd be
Yeah.
legalized.
Yeah.
I'm not sure like what the barrier is. I mean, I'm sure it's just a Republican, dead stop
It's
issue,
a red wall instead of a blue
Yeah.
wall.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, man. Like I said, I don't get too stoked on the debate. I think the debate is terrible. It's often presented like in the worst, and most disingenuous ways, like, oh, we can get so much tax money, or oh, this will end racism, and this will end disproportionate like arrests and all this kind of stuff. And it's just like, I don't know, man. Like everybody always
But-
cites like the one unlucky bastard who got 15 years or to life for having
Mhm.
pot on him, and it's like, then come to find out, like the dude had committed a series of murders prior to that or something. You know what I mean? Like it's always just more shit to the story. So
But Rob, it'll end the drug war overnight.
yeah, I know,
Gone.
right?
Those cartels will have nothing to do.
Well, that's also the argument for why would the feds legalize it when it would cut, like, all those agencies would get chopped. All the, like, how much of the internal agencies would want to like fight off that part so they wouldn't lose I guess budgets and like missions or jobs.
Yeah, I don't know. We've got a bot over here in the chat who he says he's got some damn bad luck raising animals, and every attempt he tries in raising an animal, it dies in front of him. Well, Abad, please let me be the first to tell you, stop raising animals. We like
Yeah.
animals on this podcast, man. We
And
don't
if you-
need any more dying, dude.
And if you do, maybe you should try feeding them and watering them.
Yeah. Have you ever gone on
there.
like if you just go on Google and you just say how to raise an animal, it'll bring up one of those kind of wiki things, and it'll have like pictures and stuff. You know what I mean? That's it'll show you how to do it. Yeah, I don't know. This guy, I think this guy's taking the drug legalization a little too far. All right, bud. Anyway, yeah, I don't know, man. I think I'm sure that it would take some time federally for it to get anywhere. And like I said, man, I don't know any politicians that I ever hear talk about this that I take seriously are, if they're on the left, they're really just it's always some type of like race or class debate. Like this disproportionately affects this race or this disproportionately affects this poor people class of people. That's always the argument, which I'm kind of like, meh, weak tea argument in my opinion. And then people on the right that I think are like respectable politicians, they basically are just like, no, it's this is a country of Christ. Like, we don't do that shit here. And I'm just like, meh, weak tea argument. Like no one's actually talking about what we really need to talk about, which is why would we legalize drugs? Like, I don't know. Like what would be the purpose of legalizing drugs? Like, will it make society better?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like most people take the argument that if you legalize it, like you're throwing less people in prison for drugs or non violent offenses
Right.
related to drugs. But and that's the ultimate the entire argument behind Dr. Carl Hart's research is like we have never lived in a drug-free society and you do not want to live in a drug-free society, which he does have a
True.
point there because all of us use some type of substance to escape. All of us, like even those coffee drinkers out there, sugar does something. It releases an extra amount of serotonin in your brain when you consume it. So everybody does something. So he does
Sure
have
thing.
a
Everybody's got a
point,
vice.
but like it's just not like, to your point, it's not causation doesn't equal correlation. You don't take one thing away and then it fixes all of your problems, especially when human interactions and behavior are so multifaceted that you don't just put one thing away and then everything else falls into line. Like,
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just I don't know. I think that the drugs that I mean, because dude, like this is the United States of America, it's a Western country. We have like certain set of values, typically that revolve around productivity and production in general. It's a capitalist society, or at least it was for the time being, and it is for the time being. But when you think about the drugs that we've legalized, such as like alcohol, which we've had big bitter fights about that as well. Coffee, these are I think they've just been more accepted, that they don't damage productivity, which there's many reasonable arguments that alcohol does. You can have terrible problems with it. I don't think that the elimination of drugs is ever possible, right? But like the whole idea that I don't know, maybe this is just because I'm a degenerate and like I've been around tons of criminals before, but like these people that are getting caught for petty drug offenses, these are not the only crimes that they're committing. It's just what they got caught for. We all know these people. We all know, we've been around these people, right? Like when they're out at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning doing whatever fucking dirt they're doing, and they just happen to get caught for the drug offense, this non-violent offender, right? Is probably, and it's hard to make these generalizations, but you guys know where I'm going with this, right? There's a lot of times where these nonviolent offenders are offenders to the umpteenth degree. That's all they do is offend, right? This is just what they happen to get caught for. I think it's quite rare that you just have some dude who gets booked for pot one time in his whole life, and he just has like an unfortunate night in jail or something. Like there would absolutely be no like real like penalties leveled against you. If you had an ounce of pot in Texas and it's your first offense, you've never been in trouble before. Yeah, you might have to stand tall in front of a judge because they take the shit serious there. But you think the judge is going to give you fucking prison? First offense, guy with personal possession? No fucking way, dude. So I think a lot of the crime arguments are kind of silly, in my opinion, just because I don't think they're realistic.
yeah, no, it's a good point. Usually people make bad decisions or are serially bad at making the wrong decision constantly, and that's usually what gets them into trouble rather than they're just unlucky and get hammered for their first offense.
Right. Like
Right.
I don't know. I've met very few people that have been honest with me about the mistakes they've made in their life, and never once, and this is purely an anecdote, but never once has anyone been like, yeah, it all came down to that one bag of pot that if I just never got caught with that bag of pot, I wouldn't have did 50 years in prison and been a hard criminal. Like, no, I've never heard of that. You know what I mean? I've just never heard of that from anyone ever, you know?
Right. 'Cause
So,
it's not just a single thing you're doing. It's a very good
right.
point when you like it's a hard way to generalize it, and it's a hard way to justify it to somebody who doesn't want to understand that side of it, right? Because they don't want to look at it that way, but it's very easy to kind of look at it as like it's like almost like what was it, Al Capone got caught on tax fraud, tax evasion or something, not actually
Mhm.
being like the mob boss. It's like it's kind of
Yeah.
like using that as like an example, right? It's like, well, you're not always going to get caught for the major crimes you're doing, but if you're always doing something illegal, you're going to get caught with eventually, whether it's the bag of pot or if it's Grand Theft Auto or burglary or whatever,
Yeah. And
And
I mean, I
kid,
don't know, like the research that I've done, I've never seen anybody doing hard time for pot. The hardest like numbers that I've seen from the DOJ, you have like literally like 80 people, it's double digits in federal prison right now for pot. And that's because they're doing like I'm talking big numbers. In like these are not people who got caught with a joint.
right?
see, that
They're
goes to
like the
show
big
you
suppliers.
for
Sorry, go ahead.
sure. I was just gonna say that the story of Al Capone goes to show you don't sell drugs, kid, because then the government will invent a new agency of the
Yeah.
government called the IRS, and they'll come after your ass and put you in jail for the rest of your life. You
No,
can't
it's
even
true,
see
dude.
it coming.
That's what they did with Rico too, man.
Yep.
With the Rico
Mhm.
laws. They just
Yeah.
invent new statutes and they'll fucking get you. Um, excuse me. Yeah, I don't know though. It's like, when I because I did this for I was doing a research paper, so I was doing a econometric analysis on DOJ data for for this exact thing. Yeah, I wrote like a big 12-page paper on this, and whatever. It's nothing groundbreaking. I'm just a fucking undergraduate, but my point being that like things that I noticed were, because as I'm going through the data, I'm looking for control variables, right? Like what are some things that I can control for that could also be explaining the factor that I'm trying to causally, tease out. And so you can see that like a lot of these guys, their main charge is like marijuana production, marijuana, distribution, right? That's like their main charge. But then you find out that they were producing marijuana on a farm and they were stealing the water from someone else. And so people are like, "Oh, this guy's just making pot. He stole water." Like, really? But what you don't see, people think this is like a victimless crime. But what you don't see is that there's the farmer next door or the people that they are stealing this water from, the pollutants that they're putting back into the water because they're not fucking dude. They're doing crimes. They're not eco-friendly people. They're not trying to do everything else by the book, right? They're criminals. And so they're stealing from people, they're jacking up the price of other people's stuff, they're damaging the land that they're on, and they're just straight up invading your property, right? Like they're just breaking your rights. So you see that, like you start to see that there's like this big web of other activities that some of these people that have been federally indicted, there's this big web of other activities that they're in that doesn't make them out to be these patron saints that just happen to be on the wrong side of the law, at a particular time in history. I think that most of them, that at least the cases that I reviewed, were they were criminals and they were career criminals. This is how they made their living. Nothing wrong with that. But when you get caught, right, like you play with fire, you get burnt, type of thing. They knew the risk, they knew what they were doing, and they were more businessmen than they were anything else, obviously. But they were criminals nonetheless. And they committed many crimes. When it came to
Right.
trafficking, it wasn't just like simply growing a plant where you shouldn't.
Yeah, and a lot of those people that get in trouble for that, they're usually like people that work for the cartels that they put them here, in America. They go, you're gonna grow us, cannabis, and you're gonna do it in
Right.
this area, or you got to find an area, and go start doing it because we expect X amount of, cannabis every, Y timeline or whatever it is. And they go and, they go to national forest land, they go onto your private property, anywhere they can find, an area to grow plots or pot plants. So
Yeah. I mean, it definitely produces the least violence of any drugs, right? Like, I mean, maybe there are cartels in Mexico that are willing to fight tooth and nail over pot traffic lines. I think less so than like meth or cocaine or things of that nature. So I think the black market is relatively large, but innocuous, I guess you'd say. I don't think there's a ton of like very violent stuff that happens out of it. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It should be interesting. We'll see how it is, man, because like in my opinion, just my personal anecdote, like I went to, Denver after legalization and did not like what I saw, like walking through downtown Denver. It was kind of a mess. That was pretty close to post. It was like what, like maybe 6 months or 9 months, something like that after
yeah,
legalization.
something like that.
Yeah, so, I mean, I saw a very messy situation there. A lot of a lot of like homeless encampments outside of these, dispensaries, and the people who, own these beautiful properties in downtown Denver, are like walking outside their homes and having to step over these homeless camps, where people are just straight begging for money so that they can buy drugs. It's interesting, man, and I think New York has enough problems, so we'll see, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Constantly
was weird.
hassling you too when you're going in and out of
Yeah.
dispensaries.
If you're
Yeah.
just walking by, they're just ball breakers, man,
Hmm.
So I don't know, man. It's hard to figure out, but it's definitely it's a tough problem to completely fix, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'll let you know how it goes.
Very nuanced. Yeah,
We'll find
I'll,
Yeah.
out.
sounds like they're set up better than Illinois was. It's like we're like getting ready for it, and like a few handful of like dispensaries open, and nothing has opened since because of like there wasn't anything, no infrastructure set up, and then pandemic. So everyone
Yeah.
like complains all the time. They're like, they need to build new ones or more of them. I gotta drive so and so because they're always out of shit. I'm just like,
Yeah, they also make it really, really hard, like from a regulatory perspective, like, zoning wise, like you can't just open a
oh
dispensary
yeah,
anywhere you want. Like it
Yeah.
can't be near schools, it can't be near like within a certain amount of feet of like certain things. And so they make it very difficult
my closest
to do that.
dispensary is right across the street from the police station.
That's funny.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, they
I
haven't
mean,
really built any for here for medical yet. And it's been like over a year since it got legalized because of the pandemic. I think there's like one dispensary for medical, like in my area, because it just got
I wonder what the
held up.
demand would be like in Missouri. I feel like it would be less so
St.
than in
Louis.
some of these major mesh. Oh yeah,
St. Louis, hi.
Yep. The only
you
blue
got
St.
me.
Louis and Columbia and Kansas City, the three blue parts of the whole state. So
You got me.
I'm sure that's pretty much where the vote came from and most of the support came from probably. So we'll see.
No,
who,
yeah.
kn- who knows? Maybe some of those old timers, their like grandkids were like, "Oh, Grandma, I noticed like you got the arthritis hands, and like if you just rub like the CBD oil on them, like it's good to go." You're like, "Oh, this is cannabis, Grandma," and they're like, "Oh, if I could pass that shit." Like, I thought this was just the devil's lettuce. I didn't know it could be used for such great things.
It passed
Yeah, I've
like
also
pretty substantially too. I think it was like 70 to 40 or something, 70-30, like as far as
oh
passing
wow.
the vote. So like passed without too much of a problem too.
I figured it would get smashed there.
I was surprised too because I thought it would
Eh,
too. I thought it would be that because I lived close to St. Louis, so I thought I'd be like in that sector of like a small area that was like super about it, but everywhere else, all the small counties and everything would knock it down. But guess not.
Yeah, I mean it is like it is a joke, an absolute joke to get a medicinal marijuana card. Like it is not hard.
It's
So
ridiculous.
like I understand that people are very well intentioned, that like, oh, like maybe we'll be giving this to someone, you know, some little kid who has epilepsy, or like, you know, a cancer patient, or someone like that. But at the end of the day, you're just giving it to a stoner who went to his doctor and says that he has stomach pain, and bam, now he's a medicinal marijuana patient. So
Dude, yeah. Literally just a video conference with anything. And it's all like, I looked it up. It's literally, it's like 420green.com or something like that. It's a website
exactly.
name.
Are
And it's
they
like,
like
apply
the
here.
blue chew of cannabis?
The blue chew. No, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, straight
it's
up, dude. They do that shit. It's true. Remember, you guys ever been to Venice Beach? They have Dr. Green Thumbs. It's like they literally have people outside, like, hey, come on inside. We'll get your pot license right now.
yeah, I was surprised. Like, dude, this is. I was like, oh, there's no reason for me to hurry and get it, because I could just call and get it whenever I want it. You know, like, just make a phone call,
Right.
do an interview, you're done.
Oh
Man,
yeah,
that is
instant.
convenient. Super nice.
Dude, I mean, dude, that's like, it's got to be so unethical for doctors to do that. I don't know how they do it, but
Yeah, I was gonna ask Drew,
Uh,
like, how does that look in the
I mean, I
medical
know how they do
community?
it.
I
They
mean,
have
I
no
don't know
ethics.
why you guys are trying to disparage a pillar of high morality, you know, and high ethics at all times. They don't, do things like intubate people that don't need it just because they want to
Yeah.
protect themselves. They would never do that.
No,
Yeah, I don't
never,
know.
bro.
They definitely will prescribe you some fucking pot though. That's for sure. I don't even know how you become a pot prescribing doctor either. Like, can all doctors do it? I don't even know. I've never looked into it.
Yeah, I think it depends
Probably
on.
got to be it's probably got to be a special doctor.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it depends all on like their obviously where they practice medicine as far as state legalization of cannabis goes, and then it probably has something to do with the licensure they have as well, or like what they're allowed to prescribe underneath their license in that state.
Right.
Because each
That's
state
what I
might
was
be
gonna
like
say.
something different. It might be like, in this state only like oncologists can prescribe it or something like that. I don't know. I have no idea.
Right.
You'd have to look into it.
That's what I assumed, that they'd like get licensed in it, so they knew the like guidelines or the qualifications or whatever it was for each state. Because I'm sure they're a little different. So it probably
Yeah.
depends if the doctor wants to do it or not. And I'm
Yeah,
sure that
they just go like everybody else does, fucking up to date. They look at the fucking algorithm. All right, what do I give for this? Oh, cannabis. Here you go. Done.
easy.
Well, when you run a site called like what was it, Mike? 420now.com.
420green.com,
Yeah.
420green.com or something.
If you're a doctor that works for 420 Green, I think there's only one thing on your pharmacopoeia. Your formulary has one drug, and it is it's the old pot.
They're the same doctor that tells you that you should stop wearing shoes because it removes your connection from Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm curious to see how fast they can get it going, and then I'll see what the homeless situation is like, because our homeless situation in New York City right now is bad. BAD bad. So we've
How
had
bad
like a
is
bunch
it?
of
California
very bad.
bad?
I think it is not to the degree of like population of homeless and like gypsy camps and shit. But the crime is bad. Like we had I don't know if you saw recently, we had that 65-year-old Asian woman in Midtown here who got the fucking life kicked out of her by some dude. He's just some homeless nut job. I guess back in the 2002, he murdered his mom. He went to prison for however many years, was out on parole, and just decided he's just going to beat up this old Asian lady. And we're just having tons of attacks like that. Like we had a subway slasher, homeless guy, was just on the A train slashing people's faces. We had another homeless guy slashed a woman and her baby. Lots of just this really like ugly, and it's really confined because it's COVID. So people are not necessarily out and about as much, you know what I mean? And it's winter, so people typically are just inside anyway. So really, I think a lot of the press coverage of what's been going on lately really has just been directed at like this whole homeless, mentally ill, drug addiction crowd, because that's the only people that are out, bro. You know what I mean? So it could be like just a bias on reporting, but it seems pretty gross. I don't know. My neighborhood gets some of it because they did this whole homeless hotel thing. I think I told you guys about, where basically
Yeah.
they established these hotels. You know, crony fucking capitalism between the New York City government and these hotel owners, who, God forbid, somebody goes out of business because they run a business, and that's the risks of doing business. But anyway, the government tosses them all this money to house all these homeless people. So now they bring in all these, they literally bus in homeless people into high rise hotels. And when they're not in the hotel, they're just out in the neighborhood, just causing trouble and making life harder for everybody. So, and I don't have anything against homeless folks, man. I mean, people are down their luck, they deserve charity and they deserve help. But like, these are the type of people to some degree that just are, a lot of them are mentally ill, like they need help from a hospital, not like just money and a job. You know what I mean? So it's a dangerous situation, dude. So
Yeah, unfortunately, we live in a world where no one can get sick of and die from COVID, and no business can fail because of COVID.
it's true, dude. It's really weird. Well, except unless you're a restaurant or like
Right.
a hairdresser or something.
Or a movie theater.
Yeah, or a movie theater. God damn it, dude. We need to just all go to the movies, dude.
For real.
It's the end of the movies, man. Don't worry, dude. I'll save up enough money, build myself a little movie theater, just enough seats for us. We'll go in
Yeah,
there and we'll have our own screenings. It'll be dope.
for sure. Well, I mean, you kind of brought this up, but like speaking of crime, did you see the victimless crime carjacking in DC?
I did, man. I did see that. I saw that two young, upstanding citizens were simply demonstrating how to use a taser on an Uber Eats guy. And somebody punched their foot to the floor, and the rest was history.
Unbelievable.
Dude, it's terrible, man. It's
It's
easily one of the worst things I've seen in a long time, for a lot of reasons. Um,
it's bad. It's
Yeah,
real
yeah,
bad if you
that
guys
was
haven't seen
sad.
it.
I don't understand. I don't understand like what makes national media anymore. Like I don't understand how that story wasn't like national media and isn't like just being drilled.
Well,
Because it's really fucking crazy. These were young kids that did this.
13
You
and
know?
15, I think.
Yeah, dude.
Jesus.
Well, that's
I mean, I was a bad kid when I was 13, but like, fuck, man, I wasn't carjacking fucking people, dude.
Right? And
yeah.
daylight too. It was like, what was it, like maybe evening time? Like, wasn't even dark out.
No, it was like, yeah, it was straight up like I don't want to misspeak. It looked like middle of the day on the video to me, so maybe it was evening.
Well, that like you kind of brought it up before with the crime in New York City, and like and with the national media coverages, in every major metropolitan area, crime is up, and not just up a
Yeah,
little bit, up a lot. Like so if you look on like a long longitudinal or a long 50-year scale of crime, you'll, believe it or not, you'll see that crime has been on a dramatic decline for the last 35 to 40 years. And this would be the first year where you would see a market spike in the crime. And nobody's talking about this, and it's up everywhere. And I think a lot of it was covered up by the guise of, protesting for, you know, certain civil rights in certain areas where people are getting fucked up by bad police officers, um, and for people putting themselves in bad situations to begin with. But yeah, it's and if you guys didn't see like this video of the carjacking, it's pretty bad. It's after the incident happens, like after the Uber Eats ejected from his vehicle and unfortunately died once he was ejected. And after that, like the people that carjacked him, I mean, are just stamping all over his body, looking for his phone, trying to take all his personal belongings. And the mayor of DC decided to come out, and after this happened in Washington D.C., decided to tweet out guidelines or rules to follow to avoid getting carjacked. That was her
Yeah,
response to the incident.
I
so
don't know
dumb.
why you think is any response better than no response, I guess. Like probably would like better off saying just like,
I
the
would say almost any
typical
response is better than that response.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're not one to walk the line on this podcast, and I think we know that. I think we know like what the why the mayor's was teetering on this, and it was all just strictly because this was a race thing. That was what everybody made it out to be immediately after it happened, anyway. Which I think is just really fucking stupid. That's exactly what will tie into any media story ever. And that's exactly what are you gonna do? You're gonna do open outright condemnation? Right? What would you have preferred her to do? Would you have preferred her to do that? I would have, but then now you're opening up a new can of worms with the current climate in the and or in the not necessarily just the media, but just the two young girls pouring out of it. I'm gonna try to render aid quickly to them. I don't know why they didn't try to help the dude who was visibly dead on the sidewalk. I'm not sure why they didn't. But yeah, that aggravated me too. Since there was a dude who filmed it screaming, "Hey, I just watched them carjack him. Hey, I just watched them carjack." Like he's literally yelling it.
Yeah.
Damn, I
So
didn't know about that. That's crazy.
He chases them down the street with his
yeah,
phone. That's
yep.
and then literally like watch he like has the phone pan as the girls run around the National Guard. That's because I also noticed that too, but I also think of it as like National Guard, maybe how medically trained are they? So they probably didn't maybe notice the dude that was passed out, maybe, or I don't know, like because I would have
God, they've
like
got to
gone to the
at
dude
least
that was
have done
passed
a
out, right?
fucking. They've got to have done like a TCCC course, man.
Right, you
Right.
would
Put a
think
tourniquet on his neck or something. Do something,
if they're
dude.
running around and yelling, they're breathing, they're fine. Go for the dude that's passed out, laying face first on the pavement. Like,
Right. Yeah, I
Uh,
don't think there was much that they could have done for him. And no, yeah, I mean, I think that there should have been, like, as far as the mayor goes, like, it's the same thing that always happens, man. There should have been outright condemnation. And all this stuff just comes down to, like I said, it comes down to very culture war style bullshit. Um, and I hope that unfortunately, 13 and 15, I hope they get fucking hammered, dude. I hope they get fucking hammered. That's a real adult choice, dude. To not only carjack somebody, but to do it like at the point of a weapon. It's like, dude, that's a straight up adult choice in my opinion. I don't know.
yeah, you have a
Good thing I don't
taser
write the
on you.
laws.
Yeah, we'll see how the judge looks at them when it comes to if they get tried as adults or not for it.
yeah,
Yeah, who
no, it'd
knows?
be interesting to see how that turns out. So why do you guys think that crime is up in all of these major metropolitan areas?
Well, I was gonna say is it up or is it stats up because of all the arrests from all the protests and everything? So it might look like it's up, but is it up outside of the fact that we just a really
I
politically
don't
chaotic year?
I don't think well, I mean, arrests might be up, but like I just know violent crime in general is up.
Dude, it's easy. Same reason why in places like Chicago and New York, people get shot more in the summer. It's fucking hot out, and that's a good enough reason. And so that's exactly what it is with COVID. People being cooped up. They don't have a lot of prospects. They're nervous about the future, and those are good enough reasons. You know,
Yeah. Did,
I literally think that that's all it comes down to, dude. People are out of work. They're drinking more. They're using drugs more. They're, you know what I mean. They're less productive. And men, when they are uh out of work, and I think the social sciences have done these studies pretty vigorously. They tend to do really crazy shit when they get bored. So
right, bored, out of work. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's a lot of people frustrated, pent up, like, can't really do um dude, like leisure sucks now. Like you can't do anything, or at least not nearly as much as you could 2 years ago.
right.
And then yeah, all the economic problems. I mean, it's hard to find a job out there. A lot of people lost their jobs. It's been a disaster with trying to get people aid or relief, like with what's going on the government as far as like what they want to decide to do as far as stimulus goes. We just had a major, change politically, like on a national scale, pretty recently too. So I think it's all kind of that. But I don't know. Being interesting if you're sociologists out there, look into it. We need some data. Figure it out.
I mean, there has to be. I mean, there has to be some. There has to be some level. Yeah, I mean, and that's true. We got a chatter in chat. Increase in disrespect for authority. I was gonna just say as well that like I agree with that point. That like, you know, look at like just a simple cultural example. Call me old fashioned. Make fun of me all you want. But like, you weren't allowed to go see your family for Thanksgiving. But like, if you turned on the Grammys the other night, there were 3 chicks like making out on stage and being fucking weird about shit. It's like that's kind of that's a society we live in now, where not much is holy anymore. So, I
Everything's
think
got a double
that,
standard,
yeah,
depending if it's
I
got
think
a
that generally
righteous or
people
moral
give less of a
cause.
fuck.
Yeah.
Bro, when you enforce hardships on these celebrities and they are forced to stay in their 3,000 square foot mansion with
Yeah.
2 pools and a pool house, they gotta let some of that steam out when they go accept their Grammys. They gotta let it out. You forced a hardship on them. How else are they gonna overcome it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when you got somebody like, the very intellectual and very graceful and classy Cardi B, who admits to drugging and robbing men after taking them home from the strip club. She's now, she's a force in the culture. Um, you know, I think it's a good thing. It's great. It's very. And speaking of, have you guys did you guys see this whole Lil Nas X thing?
I just
I
heard about
didn't.
it. I don't know all the details.
It's so
Everybody's
funny,
losing
dude.
their mind about little Nas X.
It's so fucking funny. It's really funny. I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of like middle of the road on it. So I'll give a little background before I give my opinion. But like basically Lil Nas X, former who became very, very overnight Insta celebrity for doing Old Town Road. That song. You know what
Mhm.
I'm talking about?
We
Take
all
me
know
down
it.
to the Old Town Road. Yeah, he did it with like, who did he do it with? Who's the famous country music artist?
Billy Ray Cyrus.
Billy Ray Cyrus. Thank you. And I mean, dude, super popular with kids, which is part of the narrative today on why people hate this new shit that he's putting out. But I don't know, man. Like, he puts out this music video where and Lil Nas X is a gay dude, right? So he puts out this music video where he slides down a stripper pole to hell and he gives the devil a lap dance. It's real provocative. It's fucking weird. And that basically like his side of the story from what I read was that this was like him showing that like he is against the church and against church narratives against gays because he's a gay fella and that was how he's going to do his business. I don't know. I thought a lot of the hate was because they're like, oh my god, he's so popular with the little kids and now they're going to see this. But it's like I remember when I was a kid and I would like save up my lunch money to go get an Eminem tape and I'd listen to like do you ever listen to Eminem when you guys were growing up? And
Yeah.
remember
Oh,
that
yeah.
song Kim, where he murders
Yes.
his wife in front of his daughter? It's
Mhm.
like I grew up listening to that shit, dude. Like when I was like 12. So I mean, was it good for me? Maybe not. I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna say it was great, but I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of like, meh, this wasn't that bad. But that's all the rage right now. Everybody won't shut the front door about it. Everybody is just kind of up in arms about it. I don't know. I didn't find it to be the most disgusting thing I've seen in recent times.
Eh. I mean, I guess I'd have to see it. I'm sure it's probably weird.
It's super weird. It's super weird.
But I mean, hey, he's doing his job as an artist. He's being weird, being
Yep.
provocative,
Right.
getting
True.
people talking about him. You're falling right into his trap, you idiots.
And what I will
Just-
say is that at least he's not an admitted felon. He hasn't drugged and raped anybody. He just made a music video of him kissing the devil. Yeah.
Way less offensive.
Ozzy Osbourne,
Right.
didn't he bite off like a bat's head or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take it easy, you boomers. We know what you did in the 80s with your
Yeah.
pentagrams.
Yeah, he basically tried to give himself rabies.
Yeah, we had a chatter come through about the shoes too. So like basically he made a set of shoes that looked exactly like Nike shoes, and Nike, dude, they came down like with the hammer, dude. They like
With
have,
swift vengeance.
I didn't even know that like this was a thing, but I guess they put a restraining order on him for making a shoe that looks like a Nike shoe because it has like a swoosh on it. I don't know. There's a big controversy about that, but yeah, I think you're right. Like that's what really like propelled it into the headlines. They saw that Nike was like suing him and putting this pressure on him, and they were like, "What the fuck is this all about?" And then they saw the music video and they're like, "Whoa, this is weird." So
Yeah, what do you put a restraining order from? Like going to like Nike stores or Nike websites or talking about Nike? Can you not say the word Nike anymore? Like,
yeah,
I
I don't
figured you
know,
get a
man.
cease and desist order or something and be like, don't do it again, or we're gonna like come at you for actual like monetary compensation or something.
Yeah, I have no idea, dude. But I didn't dive too much into like the legality shit because I figured, this is just a titan in the industry that's just gonna crush anyone that, even remotely looks the wrong way at a Nike shoe. So like, um, yeah, I didn't pay much attention to that because that's gonna be a slam dunk for somebody. Um,
Mhm.
so wasn't too concerned, but that's like I don't know, that was big this week in the culture war. I think it will continue to be. People are really upset about it just because, I think they're seeing a lot of these agendas pushed towards younger and younger and younger kids. And admittedly, the kids that were into the Little Nas X stuff are much younger than like I was when I was listening to Eminem. I wasn't listening to Eminem when I was 6, you know. Um, so yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm gonna keep my eye on it just because I think it's kind of number one, I thought it was hilarious, and then number two, anytime I could see people in the Bible Belt getting their feathers rustled, I mean, come on, dude, this is good stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's boring in the Bible Belt, man. You need some spice every now and again, dude. You got church every Sunday. You got to fill up the week somehow, right? I mean, shit. You can't
Well,
just go
yeah,
Sunday
something
to
to talk
Sunday
about.
forever.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
point. They fill it every day of the week with church. You go to church on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all the days.
Every day. Yep.
Every
Every day ends in a
day. Every day
Y.
for Bible study.
I've got nothing wrong with church and I've got nothing wrong with reading the Bible, but God, that's got to be boring, man. It's got to be boring. It's like I don't
Well,
like
it
personally
never
like
changes. It's just repetitive. Like I memorized it by
yeah.
the time I was 3.
Well,
Subconsciously. Like
You gotta have like a good you gotta have like a really fiery pastor or something like that, or priest or whatever.
right. Well, it never changes, that's for sure, because it's just, a canonical documentation of a collective parables and life lessons. But it's like, the pastors or the reverends or whatever you want to call it, the clergymen, the clergy, they go to the hits. They just hit the hits and they hit them over and over and over. They're like a top 40. Like these are the top 40 hits. You're gonna hammer you every single every Sunday with the same 40 stories and 40 life lessons. There's some interesting shit in there, like about how much of a murderous, like, savage Samson really was, and why they wanted him, like why they wanted that motherfucker dead. Like nobody talks about that. All the people that Samson murdered before he got killed. But
Yeah, they do kind of breeze over the fun parts, I think. I don't know. I never spent much time in church, but
fucking with Job, killing his whole family.
yeah, the Job thing is it's an unfortunate fella, dude.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
But you know what, Rob? He still believed at the end.
I know, dude. I know. He's a better man than me. I would have quit. You know my motto: quit early, quit often. You
Yeah.
avoid a lot of problems. So I'd have been out of there, dude. I wouldn't have lasted very long.
Damn. Well, Nas fucked up. See, if he would have done his music video in his sweet new kicks on top of an American flag and then took a knee at the end, Nike would have been behind him.
Oh, that's it, dude.
Yeah.
He would have been good to go.
Sure.
I mean, speaking of which, they just moved the All-Star game, right, Mike?
Yeah, they got rid of it. They moved it from Georgia because of the voting restriction laws and stuff. So
Yeah, that was actually an interesting one, the whole voting thing. Where it's going back to our age-old, we've talked about this on the podcast a ton of time. Is it voter suppression? I don't know. You tell me.
I'm curious
Or
if
is it
the other
voter
big
fraud?
companies leave, like Delta and Coca-Cola, or if they do anything about it because they talking a big game, but see if they actually do anything. Because suppose it already passed.
I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised, man. I think companies, I mean, look at Tesla, you know? Tesla is like a big bleeding liberal organization, but California crossed them the wrong way. Now they're gonna, up and move to Texas. I think companies will stick to their guns about what they think will be best, for their interests and for the interests of the company and the interest of their consumers. So like if Coca-Cola, I mean, dude, Coca-Cola, bro. Oh my God, dude, they make more money selling water than anyone on earth. You know what I mean? By selling
Yeah.
Dasani water, you know what I mean? Like than any company out there. So it's like, they could do whatever the fuck they want, honestly. I
No,
mean,
that's true.
should they? No, but yeah, like I'm curious as well to see what they do. But I think I don't know. I guess my point is I wouldn't put it past them. You know what I mean? Um,
Get that goodwill from the people. They made a stand.
right.
Yeah, I wonder, like, because I think most companies that do that end up leaving, I think it's very rarely for like purely political, like social stances. It's more like they're escaping like taxes or like it's become such a burden to run a company in that the state, they'll leave somewhere else. Like that's what happened with Toyota. Like Toyota's like, we can't do this in California anymore. We have to go to Texas because we're losing
Yeah, but
so much money.
don't you think it's the same? It's flip sides of the same coin because, for instance, like, let's take State A, who has some exorbitant tax value that eats up 10% of your income, right? And then let's say there's State B that has good tax policy, but has some issue that is hot within the culture war that now will affect your bottom line by 10%. I mean, it's the same fucking thing, right? It's just about how long term is it.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think if Coke chooses to stay in Georgia, they're going to lose a shit ton of people drinking Coke.
You don't think so?
No,
Yeah.
it's
I
a
mean, that's
world brand.
totally
That's
fair.
like it's not going to go anywhere.
That's totally fair. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. After watching all of the United States, well, I shouldn't say all, but at least 13, 15 cities burn for an entire summer. I'm not so sure, dude. I don't know. People seem like they're fucking pretty serious about this kind of shit. So, I'm not sure how far boycotts or things like that would go. I don't know. But I sure as shit didn't expect that to go on. So, I don't know. I'm curious to see. I mean, I don't think it's as long term. Um, but it also from a I mean, I don't think it hurts them, if they did make the move.
That's what I was
Right.
wondering. Final straw. Like, well, we've been looking for a reason to leave. We just haven't found the right opportunity. We can use this as the perfect reason to move and get goodwill for a little bit for it.
Yeah, what do you think like what is it? Is it their headquarters and like a main bottling facility or something? Because they have to be outsourcing like most of
Yeah.
their labor and shit. So like they don't give a fuck. I mean, do they really give a fuck about Atlanta? It's like a figurehead thing, right? I remember
Yeah.
Futurama made fun of it.
Yeah.
I do
I know you
too.
remember that episode, Mike. Don't
Oh
lie.
yeah. With Delta,
Yeah,
Delta Hub.
the Delta Hub.
Yeah.
It's a home of Coca-Cola and Delta's largest hub.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was wondering more is
That's
like with
pretty much all
Delta's
there is
biggest
good about
hub
it.
too. Like imagine if like Delta or like if it somehow impacted like their ability to hire or something. I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean,
it's
I
interesting to
don't
see.
think. Yeah, I don't think it's as serious. I think I agree with Drew that they're not going to lose shitloads of money or whatever. I just I feel like I've seen companies do crazier for less. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know. I'm curious to see what they do.
Well, I understand them doing it because I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, like it's the company's trying to protect their profit margin or make the most amount of money, so they're just gonna align themselves, in the culture war where they think they can get the most, fanfare, the most amount of support anyway. So I understand
Yeah,
that. It's like having Call of Duty post at the bottom of their thing, like or the weights, the load screens or whatever. Black Lives Matter. It's like I don't give a fuck what an Infinity Ward like thinks about. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, but you
Right.
know, if they don't do it, and like all these other companies did, it's like, oh well, Infinity Ward, that's a racist game developer.
It's
They
it's
weren't on
making
our
a
side.
stance,
Yeah,
making a
not
stance, not
saying
being
anything
silent.
is basically admitting you're a white supremacist. So
Yep.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would also add too that I think that a lot of these companies are willing to do crazy shit like this for political capital because they're also lobbyists, these companies.
yeah,
And they're so, by being fucking political prostitutes in this way and doing what's expedient, they afford themselves more powerful influence, right? They get more powerful friends in a blue wave government. So I don't know. I don't know. And that's right, Coke. I called you political prostitute. Come sue me. I've got fucking nothing. I've got nothing. Come take it.
yeah. I'll drink Pepsi for the rest of my life.
That's
They'll put a
it.
restraining on you, Rob.
I don't even like Coke anyway.
It's not
I
strong
really don't
enough.
like Coke. Yeah, I really don't like Coke.
That's why they're called
Okay.
soft drinks, because they're the only thing that was stronger than water that didn't have alcohol in it.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know that. Is that
Yeah.
really why they're called soft drinks? You're making that up.
No, for real. It's where the nomenclature, the etymology of soft drink comes from.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting.
That's like we learned last week with our great guest, that whiskey from bourbon.
Yeah,
So-
Bourbon County.
Yeah, I mean, dude, we just had a chatter come through with Mexican Coke, the like the actual legit old school cane sugar in a fucking in a glass bottle. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's true.
yeah.
It's good. That is good shit.
You gotta
Um,
have that when you run across it for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
dude. That's the thing about when it comes to Coke versus Pepsi. Dude, Pepsi won. Pepsi made Coke change their formula. Remember Coke 2?
Oh
That's
yes,
big.
dude. Coke.
You remember
2.
that? Yeah.
I do remember
You
that.
remember that? They did
Dude,
it.
Coke 2.
They did it to change their form because like they're getting all of this like market research or like people doing like blind tastings or whatever, and they'd always prefer the Pepsi over the Coke, and so the guys at Coke are like, what the fuck? And so they were like, got with their chemist, designed a new formula that would taste more like the Pepsi product, and they came out with new Coke, and let's just say the public was not stoked about new Coke.
Dude, I mean, is it really true that they that they have some dude who like he's basically like has like the nuclear football, but it's really just the recipe to Coke? You know what I'm talking about? Like I've heard
Yeah.
these rumors before
Yeah,
that like
Really? I've never heard that.
that like Coke is like a trade fucking secret, dude. Like soup, like the recipe for Coke is hidden away and very confidential. But I don't know how true it is.
Like
always
everybody just
wondered.
makes a single ingredient and it gets assembled somewhere else, so no one really knows how it's getting made.
Well, no, they're so dude. Oh my god, didn't we talk about this on the podcast? The company in New Jersey, they use it. They use an they. So, bro, there is a company in New Jersey. You guys look this up. Google this. It's crazy. I can't remember the exact name of the company. I'll find out for you in 1 second. Maybe one of you guys can pull it up for me right now. While I tell the story, there is a company in New Jersey that literally imports cocaine. It is like the only company in the United States that can legally get cocaine, and they distill it. I guess they break the chemical bonds to where they can just get this flavor from it that they then send to Coke. And that is used in the production of Coke. It is crazy. Is that what it's called, Nick? The Steppen Company? The
Yeah, it's a
Steppen
stepping company.
Is that
Dude,
KFC does that
when I
shit too?
That's so crazy. I didn't know that KFC did that. That's funny. Dude, KFC is like my kryptonite, dude. I love KFC. People always think I'm weird for that.
KFC is good.
That's where the
Love
name
KFC.
Coca-Cola comes from, because it's from coca leaves.
Yeah,
Like, that's where
exactly.
the flavor of Coca-Cola, it's coca leaf flavor plus sugar and red dye 70 or whatever the hell else is in there.
Dude, I can't believe you knew that, man. We had a chatter just pop it up, dude. The Steppen Company, that's awesome. I forget who told me about that, but yeah, dude, when I heard about it, I was like, no fucking way. There's no way that like some company could just import cocaine. Like, like what really came to my head was that Dave Chappelle movie, Half Baked, where he's
Yeah.
like walking through the lab, you know, to go he goes and picks up like a pound of weed. Like I'm just imagining being the janitor at this like cocaine facility. Like, okay, bro, what is going on here? That's so
Oh,
crazy, dude.
I wonder how much of a pain in the ass that was to get that process or to get legalized or what the regulations are for the employees there to work there. Like, that
Dude.
shit's got to be a nightmare.
It's got to be honestly, I think there's only one way to do it, and that's to be the company has to be 100+ years old, and like straight up just did it when there were no laws, and then when the law was written, they were like, "All right, you're the only person who can do it," type of thing. You know what I mean? Like that's the only way that you could ever do that,
Right?
You know what I mean?
There's no way that would fly now at all.
Yeah.
Or if it did
But
fly, you'd have to like distill it out in another country and have it then sent over to Coke. There's no way you can do it
exactly.
inside the border. No way.
You would figure that that would be cheaper too. I mean, also just to source it, like you could build an entire industry around something like that. Like Coca-Cola could just do that, like in say Colombia, and just have a factory in Colombia that employs a bunch of people. I mean, shit, that's where they get all the coca leaves and make cocaine anyway. So, or something like
Right.
that. Bolivia, just go down there and do it right there, and then just import it. But I guess I don't know. I guess maybe there's some kind of comparative advantage that we have. Because like I said, they have to do some type of chemistry to like break it down and and extract nothing but the flavor and none of the addictive properties. I didn't know that that was like a thing, which is insane. But
It's like
we gotta
definitely
get Drew back
isolating
there.
it. Yeah.
That's
Start isolate. Start out. Put some liquid paper on a B. Let's go, dude. Start doing the science.
SN1, SN2 reactions, dude. Get the fucking R and S stereoisomer or enantiomers,
Yeah, what he said.
Oh,
Dude, that's how medicine works. Like, so
yeah.
we can basically identify molecules that look almost completely identical with the like either chemical properties or the physical properties they have, or with the way that they bend optical light, and just by isolating different chemicals that bend light in a different way than another set of the same exact molecule is how we like devise or get all these derivatives of pharmaceuticals and without like all the crazy side effects. I mean, that's how we got lidocaine, because lidocaine is just
There's a lot of those molecules that are like that are literally like they're like literally would look the same to like the average person, but they have like literally one is beneficial and one will cause like birth defects or kill you. And it's literally just the very minutest different detail. I forgot which drug it is, but there was a drug that they determined that was causing birth defects, and it was because when they did the chemistry, they like did the bonds wrong, and it was just altered in the smallest little detail and like how it was shaped, that it caused defects, and it got taken off the market in like the
It wasn't
80s or something.
thalidomide, right? That's my favorite one.
No, I don't think it was that one, but
That's my favorite baby deformer. No, that's terrible. Terrible. That was a terrible joke. Yeah, it was a terrible, terrible situation. But dude, speaking of all this genes and biology stuff, I did and speaking of crime, because they catch criminals this way now, I did a 23andMe today. So
I gotta say what everybody
see.
tells me, bro. They're gonna clone you, bro. They got all your information now.
They got
all
your
your
shit,
stuff,
bro.
dude. They didn't have
If they
your shit
cloned
before.
Me, dude. Me,
bro.
If they clone me, forget it, dude.
So many people told me that, and I'm like, dude, I was in the
don't
military.
want
They
them to
got my
second me.
shit already, and if they clone me, then it must be bad out there. If they picked me to clone,
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you're really
Pretty
scraping
sure.
the bottom of the barrel to get another me into the world.
yeah, like
No, dude. Yeah. I think that all those things that people say are just so insane, especially to us, because like, the first thing that they do when you go work for the government is make sure that you're not first they make sure who you are, that like who you say you are. Then they make sure you haven't done drugs, and then they take your fucking DNA. That's like the first things that happen to you
Yep.
as soon as you get there. So like
ID, drug test, fingerprints.
That's
Yep.
it, dude. You're like your DNA is there. Like honestly, they can have it. My DNA will always be inside me. Hopefully, unless there's, I get Shawshanked or something like that, and there's some kind of crazy conspiracy against me, which I wouldn't put it past happening.
Drew,
But
did
yeah,
you
I
do
don't know. I'm curious.
23andMe? Did you do it, Drew? Have you done it yet or at all?
I haven't done it, but one of my sisters did it. So basically,
You
my
did it.
DNA.
Basically,
Yeah,
you did it.
basically I
Yeah.
did it.
I've done it. My mom's done it, and one of my sisters have done it. And it's pretty cool to just kind of look at, just because it does give you some pretty cool like breakdown of like where your ancestry's at, and like even timelines of like in the 1800s, your like lineage was here. In the 1700s, it was over here, and then it breaks it down into like how susceptible you are to certain diseases that actually are pretty accurate for certain areas. Like my mom has talked to her doctor about it, and they're like, yeah, some of these actually are good triggers or good things to watch for pre conditions. So
Oh,
I was kind
yeah.
of blown away after I read into it a little bit more, and after I got mine back, and I being a biology student and a formal like working in the medical field, it's like you can read it pretty well, and it's like this is actually a lot of information, especially on like just your ancestry, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, I know the ApoE gene is the big one. That's if you have that gene, you are more susceptible to developing Alzheimer's than if you don't, and especially with any type of head trauma.
Why can't they just cut that shit out, dude? Just fucking CRISPR-Cas9 me, dude. Just fucking.
It's too
Cut it right out
complicated
there.
of a mutation.
Oh.
There's too many
So
variables,
like,
right?
well, yeah, but it's like, so CRISPR-Cas9, it's only really effective for single gene mutations, and that's like gene mutations that are like probably not very long, short genes. And even with the ones that they can edit, they can't get they can't get it to stick. They can't get the error that they correct and like they cut out with CRISPR-Cas9 and paste in the correct gene sequence. They can't get it to stick. It falls out after a certain amount of replications. They don't know why, and they're having issues with that. And then the problem is many mutations that we have, or many genetic diseases that we have, they're multi-gene mutations, and they're just so complicated because they can either be linked together or they split differently during the replication process that we can't isolate them, or they just continuously spontaneously produce new mutations that they can't fix them. So we're
Damn.
we're quite a ways away from fixing all of the major like every problem, but I will say that even though there are a lot of diseases that are caused by multiple gene mutations, there are quite a few that are caused by like single gene mutations that we would hopefully be able to, fix in the, I mean, hopefully like 50 years they can get CRISPR-Cas9 dialed in and working pretty well.
See,
Yeah.
what I don't understand is something I've been thinking about a lot lately with like, and it's kind of, related to this is like, when are we going to get the next person who's like, gives us the next big leap? Kind of like, not to sound cliche, but kind of like an Einstein for physics, right? Like a guy who really just produces
Elon
seminal
Musk.
paper after seminal paper. No, Elon Musk sucks. Yeah, like I don't know. Are we getting dumber or something, or like are we or are things just are we hitting the peak to where things are getting so complicated now that one of those people is only going to come around like once every 2, 3, 400 years as opposed to once every 100 years?
Yeah, I don't
That's
know. That's a good
interesting.
question.
Or
Yeah,
if
I
it's
don't know.
like,
I've been thinking about it because like we haven't had one. We get like incremental. We get very genius level people. Not take anything away from them, but it's very incremental, right? Like it's nothing like it's not like we were on the ground riding horses and then 30 years later we're flying planes dropping the atom bomb, right? Like that like we haven't made a leap like that in quite some time. I don't think. I think like the closest would be the computer, right? Um, and like chip technology.
that's interesting
Yeah.
because it could be like we were at like a plateau, we've reached a plateau that we can't get over that hurdle. But once someone does like the next breakthrough into like maybe that gives us hyperspace, or maybe we can move like increases
Hyperspace.
increases our
Hyperspace is
speed.
never coming. It's never happening.
We're alone,
It's
Mike.
coming, bro.
Just get over it.
Not
coming.
in the way we understand that the universe works.
It's on the internet. It's been in movies. It can happen, bro. Just gotta have faith. Just gotta have
Well,
faith.
it's something I think about quite a bit, and the ultimate sad reality is that we really haven't invented anything in the last 80 to 70 years. Um, I would say all of the technology that we think of that is like life-changing stuff, would you could maybe make an argument for the microprocessor, but that was all based on making the vacuum tubes that we already had to run really big, like crazy machinery, just smaller. So all it was just taking the computing power that you had to spread over a large distance and like just
Yeah.
compressing it down to a single tiny little thing. And then we've actually even hit a limit with that to where like we can make micro or we can make uh microprocessors and
Semiconductors, processors. Yeah.
semiconductors like so small that they are literally the width of an atom, and now we are limited by the amount of like particles that govern all of existence.
Yeah.
So transistors, that's what I was getting at. We can make the
Oh, sorry.
transistors so small that like they're literally atom sized, or like you can't fit anymore onto like a single unit.
Yeah.
um
I mean,
and
I can.
like
Sorry, go
just
ahead.
like all these physical properties that we understand around us, like we seem to have either solved them all. Like, yeah, like you're right, we do have like super geniuses out there that will like somebody will make like a huge discovery like in the field of like plasma or something, but we already know plasma exists. We're just they're maybe defining or helping us understand it better than we already did. But it's not like some guy sitting under an apple tree and like an apple hits him in the head and he's like, oh, I'm gonna invent a phenomenon that will revolutionize the world. Like that just doesn't happen very often. And like I think a lot of this stuff has already just been figured out by very, very, very smart people. Like I mean, the periodic table is uh basically designed in the 1800s.
Right.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say that have run out of stuff like groundbreaking new things, and now we're just honing in on
Dude,
everything we know.
Well,
I
that's
forget
another
the
reason why what's his face is a quack as well, is because of the periodic table. Element 114 or whatever his name was. What's his name?
oh, Bob Lazar.
Balthazar. He forgot that like in the 1800s they knew like, oh yeah, we're gonna have a periodic we have an element 115 or whatever. We already knew that element existed. We're just waiting to actually specify it.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing is that, like the guy that came up with the periodic table, like there were elements that he had no idea, but like what they were or what they did or like what they looked like, but he just looked at the things that he could identify and was like, oh well, it has to fall into place here.
Right.
Um, and like he might not have been able to see element 115 or 14, whatever it is, because like these are elements that are like it takes so much energy and power to produce, and it exists for like a
Yeah.
millionth of a second or like a
Yeah.
hundredth of a second, and it's the smallest amount that you could probably measure or perceive. So, but yeah, I just think that like we figured out a lot of the stuff, and I either we either live in a simulation or we don't, as like the biggest new frontier, I guess. And that's a testament of like how far we had advanced scientifically, is we are literally arguing about if we even exist or not.
In the last
Yeah.
100 years, 120 years, like that's
Yeah,
not a very
Yeah.
long time at all. Think
Pretty
about
much.
yeah.
100
Yeah.
years
Now,
ago was
I
18. So,
I I think about it more in terms of, so like I agree with you completely, Drew. I think about it more in terms of like, because we do everything together now, there's like this interconnectivity, like the scientific community is so much more broad than it was 100 years ago, right? Like we have this level of like cooperation to a degree.
right?
And we just don't have these like singular people who are just, like just like this really, wacky figure that just blows everybody out of the water and takes us to the next level. Um, and I mean, like, I can see your point that like we've solved all the problems, but I think that like, 200 years ago, 100 years ago, they probably thought they solved all the problems too. And somebody hits the scene that makes up some new wild shit. Um, I don't know. I'm curious. I mean, I already think like simulation stuff is like, well, but from the logic arguments, like it has to be a simulation, because if by virtue of the logic argument, if we're gonna say that like we live in a simulation by proxy of the fact that we create simulations, which, you know, gives us some type of statistical probability that we are actually in one. It's like, well, we already create simulations. We don't create them to the degree that like would be necessary, you know, to experience this. But anyway, maybe that's a little too fucking wacky, but
So if
to
you're
get
in a
into.
simulation and you died, you just like respawn in a new simulation, or
Fuck, I hope, dude. Life's good,
how does
bro.
that
I
work?
don't.
Like, do you get
God.
like another life, or do you like play another character or something? You come back as like, you know, you like
I
revolve,
think
you just like rotate around, like.
I think the people that argue for we're in a simulation say ultimately it doesn't matter because
It's a
you
Yeah.
cop
never
out,
existed to
bro.
begin with.
It's so boring. Ugh.
Yeah, I know.
So
It's not interesting.
boring.
Yeah.
I like to think that I'll still be my annoying self after I die, and I'll get to go to some place and there will be someone who has to answer all my questions. And I just for eternity, I'll get to ask everything I ever wanted to know.
That's heaven, bro. That's
That's my
heaven.
heaven.
Yeah.
That's
That's
the
my heaven.
dream. You get to
Yep.
know all the stuff,
Yep.
all the good shit.
And I just chill and just be like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, you know what? I got another one. The guy's like, fuck.
What if it was
really?
all
What is it?
movies too? Like you could
Who
either
did
watch a
shoot
movie
Kennedy?
Yeah.
or you could have them tell you. So you're like, oh, here's a movie of it, and it's just like plays you back what happened. And it's like, here you go, and just gonna like watch like every question you have played out in like a documentary or a movie, you know,
Yeah,
the rest of
right,
your life.
dude. Mike's hell is gonna be like, oh, I do have a movie, but you got to read the book first.
Is it on audiobook? That counts, right?
No, no audiobooks. No
I do have a
audiobooks.
movie. It's unfortunately directed only by Zack Snyder, and Gal Gadot is the main actress throughout the whole thing. So sorry about that one.
Gal Gadot. Oh God. Did you watch the Snyder Cut?
I did. I did watch
I
the
didn't
Snyder
watch it.
Cut.
Was it any good? Should I watch it?
Well, it's 4 hours long, so
I know, it's
uh,
fucking brutal.
if you're gonna watch it, be prepared. You're gonna be there for a while. There's it's shot in 4:3 aspect ratio, which is nice. Always very good. So like after
Or three aspect ratio.
like,
Why?
dude, because fucking Zack Snyder, bro. Like this is the guy who complained. Basically, the internet bullied Warner Brothers so badly over the last, what is it, 7 years, 5 years now, that they made the studio release a cut of the movie that they said they would never ever release.
Oh.
Yeah, and so
Jeez.
the good thing is about it being shot in 4:3 aspect ratios. It's a 4 hour movie. So about hour 2.5, your eyes are completely adjusted to the obscure, really weird aspect ratio he decided to shoot his whole movie in.
Oh God.
So, but aspect ratio, length, and more Icelandic woman singing in it. That's very awkward. It's actually really good. It's surprisingly good. It's
Okay.
it is a lot better than the abomination that Josh Whedon turned in for the actual theatrical release of the Justice League. Gives way more context for like what they were trying to do. And I was entertained. I thought it was actually pretty good. It's still bad, but it's not as bad as it could have or as it was in the theaters. So
Okay. Yeah, maybe when I've got 4 hours to kind of, toss around, I'll throw down on it.
The next time I'm on a plane or driving for a
Yeah,
long time,
exactly.
throw it
Yeah.
on. Perfect.
I'm probably gonna fly to California here soon, so I'll do it then.
yeah, it gets a strong recommend. Would watch.
Okay.
It's good coming from Drew.
Better than Wonder Woman 84 for sure.
Dude, anything's better than that. Dude. I'd rather watch the fucking grass grow. That movie sucked.
And you know what? Like I said it before, or I said it when I was talking about Wonder Woman 84. They tricked me. They tricked me with the blue laser. It wasn't shooting up into the sky. The guy walked into a blue laser. So therefore, Wonder Woman 84 officially the worst movie. Justice League has no blue lasers in it again. So good movie. I don't know what Hollywood's obsession is with blue lasers being shot up into skies for superhero films. They can't think of anything more dramatic.
Nobody's very creative these days. It's a lot of rewrites and repeats.
Well, it
That
seems like TV shows are doing well. It seems like these comic style superhero TV shows are doing good. I've heard nothing but like I haven't watched any of this shit, but I've heard nothing but good things about things like WandaVision, and all these kind of like what's the other one? Who's you know this comic book dude? The Falcon guy. What's his name?
Falcon and the
Oh,
Falcon and
yeah.
Winter Soldier. Yeah,
Falcon and Winter Soldier. Thank you. Yeah.
yeah,
It seems like the TV shows are kind of getting a heyday.
yeah. Well, Marvel seems to be much more competently run than DC is. So
Mm.
they got a formula. They know it works. They stick to it, and people just keep turning out for sevens, and they keep making $1 billion. So yeah.
Yeah, dude. Fuck. Yeah, I mean those are big money making films for sure, man.
I mean,
I don't know.
dude,
It's
the-
weird how they got comics. I thought comics were just for nerds. It's weird how they got comics to be popular, and I kind of wanted to just return to the nerd thing, dude.
well, the problem is the nerds took over. Nerds now rule the world. They got
It's
the last
true.
laugh.
Really?
Yeah, Elon Musk
No.
is cool.
Not after he named his kid that name. What's the name? Xeon or something like? How do you even say it?
I think it's impronounceable.
Yeah, it is. Looks weird.
Well,
If you've never seen Elon Musk kid's name, like go ahead and Google it really quick. It's fucking weird.
nerds certainly do have a lot more power than they always had, because they were just the weird kid that played video games or like was into comics and things like that. And these guys go on to like run Google.
But I feel like they've always been that way. Like nerds have always run they've always run the big shit.
I don't know, I think a
Yeah.
lot more people are into that type of
You know?
stuff now than before. Like
No,
there's a lot more people that
absolutely.
play video games that now like will kind of fall into that
That's not a
culture.
nerd activity, dude. Hold on. I gotta draw a real clear distinction. That is not a nerd activity.
Well, I think it leads into it a little bit. Like as more people play video games, get more
It's a
like
gateway drug.
well, like if you start playing like Star Wars video games and you're like, oh, I've never seen Star Wars, maybe I'll go watch it now or something. Like, or any of these other types of comics, like playing like on your phone, you're playing Marvel superheroes on your phone now or something. Like, oh well, I've
That's
never
fair.
been into that, and now maybe I'll go watch it. Now that because I have an association to it now. Like now I'm familiar with it. I'm familiar with the characters, so now I'll go like I see it as a movie or a TV show. Like I'll go check it out, learn a little bit more about it or something.
Fair.
Well, I can tell you why comics have become like so big as far as like entertainment or movies or TV shows go. I mean, that's an easy transformation or evolution. They went from being like these stupid, cheap newspaper clippings essentially, or article like you give your kid to read in the newspaper or whatever, and then actual serious writers who know how to write stories got a hold of them or got a hold of these characters and started to either develop their own stories with the characters or create new characters in a universe where they could essentially play with them. And as time grew, they amass a backstory behind them, and now you have all these different things that you can do. And as time keeps going on forward and keeps marching down the line, more people get exposed to comics over time, and they run a movie industry or they run a movie studio, and they're like, well, we're always looking for new, fresh things that not only are like, but something that is new, fresh, something that everybody recognizes, they can get behind, people will come flock out to see, and we don't have to put any effort into designing a story. We have 70 years of continuity we can choose from to write a story about, which that's they don't always do that. Like how many times do you hear from the actual nerds like, oh, it's nothing like the comics, because
Yeah.
the writers have to be writers and show off their art, and like they don't want to just copy like a great story. They gotta turn in the fucking abomination that is Batman versus Superman. But
Yeah. Oh, dude, that was bad.
Yeah.
I don't even know from like a canon,
Dude,
perspective. It just was not a good movie.
this is how badly DC and Warner Brothers fucked up Batman versus Superman. You have like two of the most iconic superheroes, not just like iconic superheroes, but two of the most iconic things in American culture or world culture, Batman and Superman. You have a movie with both of them in it, like a huge Hollywood production, and it can't even make $1 billion. And Captain Marvel, who no one has ever heard of, made over $1 billion.
Damn.
So
That's crazy.
Fucking
Why do you think
billion
that
bucks,
is?
dude.
They just suck.
They just
they
I think
suck, yeah.
you're hitting on the
Mismanagement.
head. Yeah, they're trying to make everything visually stunning and completely lack the content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was thinking that a little bit. It was like just as far as it's gotten more CGI and just more like visually appeasing, a lot of people gravitate to it because they're well-made movies as far as like CGI goes and everything, you know?
Dude, it's my girlfriend's like favorite genre. It's all she watches. I'm telling you right now, dude, you guys have known Brandy forever. Did you ever have Brandy pinned as like a comic book chick?
No.
No.
Never. Never. It's her favorite genre now. She loves it.
Dang.
It's all she watches. She watched it all. Watch it all, dude. Damn. And we got a chatter. Same with his wife, dude. See, dude, and that's big. If the comic book folks and these movie dudes and like and TV people are capturing the female audience for comic books, they've won.
Dude.
Because
yeah.
they've already got the male audience. The men want to watch the fight,
Right.
So it's crazy. But yeah,
Yeah.
dude, that's so crazy, dude. That's interesting dynamic that like that women are super into to a degree. I don't know any numbers behind that, but like, just hearing this right here, it's like, that's kind of an interesting dynamic.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's yeah, I mean, for sure, because it's
Maybe
always
we just got really cool chicks, man. That's all it is.
maybe.
Maybe you lucked out.
Maybe they're just watching them because they like the uniforms.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Who wouldn't like a Captain America uniform? I still think Captain America's uniform's dumb.
Pretty dumb. Pretty dumb.
I still think his superpower is dumb. A shield that he throws? Come on.
I mean,
Dumb.
Made out of a special material that's nothing
Well,
related to him.
First of all,
Dumb.
Captain America has many powers. All right,
He does.
it's not just throwing a shield.
That's the
Got
dumbest
super-
one.
It's one of the dumber ones.
Here comes Drew. He's going to white knight it. He's going to save him. Give it to
No.
us.
I was gonna say that his worst superpower is that he's like a good guy and always does the right thing. Like he's just boring to
yeah.
me. It's just like he
Yeah.
literally always does the right thing.
Straight and narrow.
Which is like totally not the American thing to do. So it's kind of interesting.
Right. Yeah, Wolverine or the Punisher is more like Captain America than Captain
yeah.
America. But
Oh, yeah.
I
Wolverine
love the
definitely
Wolverine
is a good fit.
movies. Yeah.
Wolverine's a good fit, dude.
he's the best at what he does.
I can get behind that. I can get behind Wolverine mascot of America. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Mess with us and you get the claws.
Like you ever did I ever tell you guys about I forget the Wolverine's designation in Glacier National Park? It's like M2 or something like that. It's like
No, I've never talked about this at all.
It's a very famous Wolverine. It's a Wolverine they've tagged and they study, and it basically cannot be captured, or it's like so hard to capture this thing. Because like
They captured it once to
dude,
tag it.
dude, like they put it in a wooden cage, basically just made out of like timber, and he ate his way out of it. He's like, "Fuck you!" and like just ate through solid wood to get out, and then climbed up the highest point of Glacier National Park, Mount Cleveland, and then like climbers tried to go after him. They had, because he's radio collared, it took him 2 hours to climb over like this specific face of Mount Cleveland. Skilled expert mountaineers with gear couldn't even summit that side of the mountain that day.
Holy
Damn.
shit.
Yeah.
What the hell do they care so much for? Just let the fucking thing go.
Because
What
they're
is
It's a
almost-
challenge.
because they're almost extinct in the United States. They're like almost
Oh,
gone.
I didn't know that.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, they're very rare.
So this thing's like hanging on the side of a branch off the side of a mountain, like
Dude, he's
I'm
just
almost
like digging
extinct,
his
but I
claws
like to
into
live
like sheer
dangerously.
rock face, just going over, dude.
That's so funny, dude.
Shit.
Wolverines are badass. They'll like kill a moose and stuff by themselves. They'll stand
They'll
down
kill
like
what?
entire moose.
What?
Yeah.
Jesus.
A Wolverine can kill a moose?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, no way. That's
Yeah.
insane.
They'll stand down wolf packs and stuff too.
Dude,
They're
that's insanity. Dude, moose are in like I've never been that close to a wolf pack, thank God. But I've been close to moose, bro, and they are big, dude.
they're
They are
huge.
fucking huge, dude.
Yeah. They're
Like they take
terrifying.
up the entire lane of like what a car would drive through. Like they would like when I was in Alaska,
2
they would just
lanes
walk out in the
basically.
road and they just like sit down. Yeah, and they just hang out in the road and all the cars stop and just fucking sit there all day. But they are big, dude. They're as big as a car. They're bigger than a car.
Oh
They're
yeah.
huge, dude.
They're like bigger than a minivan easily.
Yeah, they are gigantic fucking animals. A Wolverine.
Yeah.
That's
Dude,
nuts.
that's a great mascot for America. I don't know why the bald eagle's the mascot. Fucking Wolverine should be it because like it's a 40 to 60 pound animal that can basically fuck anything up. That I wanted to.
Could you believe that the national animal was almost a turkey? That's
Yeah.
what Ben Franklin
That-
wanted.
Because they're
That
smart
would
and they
be
have great
crazy.
vision.
Dude, turkeys are hard to hunt. They're hard to hunt. They're a pain in the ass,
Super
dude.
hard.
You gotta wake up super early in the morning. Dude, did I ever tell you guys my story about when I was working I was private contracting and we were out to teach a class and one fell on a guy's head? It was like roosting in a tree. And we
No.
were like, dude, we're pulling all this shit out of like a truck at like 3 o'clock in the morning with headlamps on, so it's completely pitch black. And like I take like, I'm like a dude trying to carry all the groceries inside, right? I just take this huge fucking stack of litters, and this guy is standing under a tree with like a table, and he's like counting drugs, like working through veterinary drugs, and like signing out paperwork. And I take this fucking big old thing of litters and I like fucking stand them up and push them up against the tree, so that they're standing against the tree, a big stack of litters. And dude, this fucking turkey just fell. It was roosting. It fell right on his fucking head, dude. And I have never been more scared in my fucking life. I shit a brick because I had no idea what the hell just happened, dude. This dude's like getting attacked by an animal. It's pitch black. All you see is lights going everywhere. You know what I mean? I'm like, it was definitely a moment, but I didn't know that. Number one, I didn't know they roosted in trees like that, like in low trees. They'll roost up there like that, and they just go to sleep. And I'm also surprised that it didn't leave when we drove a fucking F-350 dually, like through the dirt and shit with a huge ass trailer, and it just slept through that. I'm like, I thought these animals were smart, but yeah, one fell right on his head.
Damn.
Yep.
Yeah, I wonder if they go through like I think it's called torpor. It's like temporary hibernation that like I know bats do it. I don't know if birds do it where they can like they slow their metabolism so down they slow it down so much they're basically in almost hibernation, but they do it daily. And that's why they're really hard to rouse.
That would explain it. Yeah, I mean, this was in California, so like I mean, I don't know if that's how it works.
Did it make like a god awful sound once it woke up? Like the turkey gobble?
As it fell, dude, like you could, it sounded like somebody dropped like a sack of garbage from the top of the tree. And yeah, it was making some squawks and like weird sounds or whatever. I kind of blacked out for a little bit, so I don't remember every detail, but I definitely thought it was one of the more funny things. The guy whose head fell on didn't think it was too funny.
Yeah, he almost died, dude. Do they have talons? They gotta have like some type of claw or something.
I don't think honestly, I think they're completely harmless. Like I think that they are just like 100% like couldn't even hurt you if they tried. They're just really fast, and like you said, they have very keen eyesight. So like even in the wee hours in the morning that's when you go and hunt them. Like I've hunted them up in Northern California. When Brandy's sister was getting married, I went to her husband's bachelor party in a place called Dinsmore, California. It's in the middle of fucking nowhere. Yeah, we were like, getting fucking drunk all night and then waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, going turkey hunt. Well, waking up, just basically leaving the campfire and then walking around looking for turkeys. And I didn't shoot any, but we didn't really find any. But yeah, supposedly they're notoriously good at spotting you and getting away from you.
Mhm.
This one, however, not so much.
Drop the
Yeah.
ball.
And this was in Southern California, so maybe they're like more regularly, like maybe they just don't have any predators at all, really. So they just don't fucking care. You know what I mean? Because they never get shot. Nobody hunts in Southern California, really, like, you know, unless you're shooting coyotes or something like that, you know?
Right. That's
So
what I was
maybe
thinking.
that's
They're
part
just
of it.
used to it.
Yeah.
It's just like
It
whatever.
was on a ranch, so it may be used to the sound of trucks, you know,
Yeah.
because it's on a ranch, and so I don't know, but it was an interesting, experience. My really only my one up close and personal encounter with a turkey.
Yeah. Never had never had anything like that with the turkey. I've only seen
I
them
don't think there's
crossing the
many out
road.
there, are there?
I think there's a whole
Illinois?
bunch.
Oh, is
Well,
there?
not in Illinois. There might be, but I know there's a shit ton in Wisconsin. That's where I saw like,
That makes
dude,
sense.
just see them everywhere, man. Parking lots, crossing the street, like they're like
Yeah.
geese, dude.
Dude, I
No,
couldn't
that makes
imagine
sense.
that being our like national like
I know
thing,
the
you know.
turkey.
Like
Dude, they both suck as far as I'm concerned. Eagle's not that
at
much
least the
better.
bald eagle looks cooler, you know.
I think the eagle
Looks
looks way cooler for sure, at least.
yeah.
And it kills snakes and stuff, so kind of like it has some kind of cool stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely
going
on
on.
my
Why don't you like
my
the bald
list
eagle?
of
Eh. I mean, why the bald eagle when we can have the Wolverine?
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think there's better. I mean, dude, mountain lion. Mountain
Yeah.
lions fuck you up, dude.
I don't know. Maybe I've seen too many bald eagles. They're like, like they're basically not even endangered anymore.
Dude, Brandy saw one on the fucking Metro North here in New
Yeah.
York.
Yeah,
We were just
Damn.
driving or riding on a train, and Brandy's like, "That's a bald eagle," and it's like fucking swooping around this. It was like circling around this lake, and sure enough, there were bald eagles out there.
yeah, their numbers have like increased a ridiculous amount in the last 30 years. I think they're contemplating removing them from the endangered species list because that's how much they've grown by. Yeah, I was walking
Interesting.
last year dogs randomly by the like a little field, like soccer field where I live, and I was like, is that a fucking bald eagle on the ground? And it was. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, I'm not supposed to see you until I go back to Yellowstone. There's just a bald eagle like in a soccer field.
It's illegal to fuck with them though, right? Like if you shot one or something, like you're for
Oh
sure.
yeah, I
you're
don't
done,
think
bro.
that's allowed. That's a no.
Yeah,
for sure
because I
that's
saw
like a
one.
federal shit.
I saw one of the coolest pictures I think I've ever seen where it was like this bald eagle who was like, I guess somebody tried to poach it or kill it. They shot its beak off and they 3D
Oh,
printed a prosthetic. And
yeah.
it was like one of the coolest things I ever saw. They fit this prosthetic on this fucking eagle's beak. Like, that's crazy.
Damn.
But speaking of eagles, dude, have you guys ever seen golden eagles?
Yes.
No, I'm
Dude.
not.
Oh my
Dude.
gosh, they're so cool.
I'm gonna look
Dude,
them
the
up.
Mongolians use them to hunt wolves.
Yeah.
They ride around on horseback with this giant fucking bird, dude. This thing looks like a fucking pterodactyl. And they just, on horseback at like 40, they just let this thing go and it fucking takes wolves down.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
It's insane.
Have you seen how they kill goats?
Oh, dude, by picking them up and dropping them.
Yeah, they rip them off the sides of mountains and drop
Yeah, I've seen that.
them.
It's so
that
Dude.
crazy. Dude, it's nuts. That is
Dude.
so crazy.
Dude, this is what I was talking about. Like, all right, you and a bald eagle. How many bald eagles until you're fucked? I say 3. You're fucked at 3.
Dude, at 3, I don't know, man. I might even die to 1. They can get really big.
Dude, they got talons. I mean, if they can carry a goat,
Dude,
they
I've seen
can't
them
carry you
pull
off,
shit
but they're
out of the
gonna fuck you up.
water. Like pull like
Oh,
not
yeah.
just fish, but like big ass
Rocks?
like yeah, like not rocks, but like I saw it was like maybe it was a big fish, but I can't remember what it was anymore. But yeah, it was that was what I was like blown away with when I saw him just like trying to get out of the water with this big ass fucking fish in his talons and just like almost swimming it out. It's nuts.
Right. That's good.
Dude, they're straight up dinosaurs. They're dinos, man.
Yeah, they're dinosaurs that made it flying
They
around.
are, dude. Do you believe that dinosaurs actually had feathers?
That's what they think.
That's
what they
fucking weird.
think.
I don't believe it, dude. They were like, no, for sure they were like big reptiles. Dinos, like maybe the winged ones or whatever, but regular dinos didn't have feathers. You really think they did? That'd be so
They're-
weird.
I mean, they're finding more and more evidence of them being feathered,
Well, I
And
saw the tail that was like an amber, and it had
Mhm.
straight up feathers like
Yeah.
connected to it. It was fucking weird.
yeah, they're
But
finding more of that and like more fossilized like feathers with the animal, like so like the imprint that it leaves like with the bone like indicates that it have fossils. I know like one of the latest theories was that like the Tyrannosaurus Rex was like very colorfully like had very colorful plumage on it.
dude, that's so weird. I think
So
the
cool,
T-Rex
dude.
that's in my head is way better than a T-Rex with plumage. I don't want a T-Rex with plumage. I want a T-Rex that's like I want a T-Rex that looks like Godzilla.
Well, they think that T-Rexes were like scavengers too.
Yeah, that would make sense. They had small arms. Take
Yeah.
what you can get.
Mm-hmm. But fuck up anything they came into contact with.
Yeah. What do you think? Speaking of movies too, what do you think of this new Godzilla versus King Kong movie?
I
I
mean,
don't think it's good. I don't think it's gonna
yeah.
be good. I think it's
I'll
gonna be
Not a
bad.
should.
I think is it out or it's gonna be out soon. I'll watch it. I'll
I
give
think
it.
it's gonna be out soon. Yeah.
I'll give it here's my bold prediction. Better than Wonder Woman 84.
Ooh, that is not a bad
Damn.
way to. That's not a bad way to sit on it, dude. I like that.
Yeah.
That's not a fence straddle at all, and I like that. It is in theaters now, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
Godzilla
it's on
vs Kong.
HBO Max. I think they're doing like that's one of the ones they're releasing on HBO Max.
Yep, it is in theaters and on HBO Max. I just was looking it up because I wanted to see for myself. I'm a Godzilla guy. I like Godzilla, but I
I like
certainly don't really
Godzilla
like
too.
King Kong.
I was never really into King Kong. I kind of like the did you ever see the one that what's his name did? The guy that did the Lord of the Rings. Can't think of it now.
Who? The director?
Yeah,
Oh
the
God.
New Zealand guy. I can't think of
Yeah.
his name.
Fuck, I
But
can't remember his name.
Peter Jackson. Did you ever see
Peter
Peter
Jackson.
Jackson's
Good
King
shit.
Kong? I like that one because like it was like
I didn't watch it.
it's not a good movie, but like it's just like when they go to Skull Island, it is just whatever can go wrong at this island is gonna go wrong. You got like dudes getting fucked up by unidentifiable insects, dudes getting killed by aboriginals there, like the indigenous people. I'm like, dude, I'm in. I'm all into seeing these people get fucked up by primitive people or bugs that they don't understand. I like that shit. And then I'm also a King Kong fan or a Godzilla fan. Like I saw, was it King of the Monsters? The last Godzilla film wasn't bad, not great.
Okay.
You know, he's doing all the Godzilla stuff, slithering around in the water, fire breathing people, or atomic breath. Sorry, it's not fire breath. It's atomic breath.
Yeah.
Get it right.
Get the come on. Get the nomenclature correct, dude.
Right. But yeah.
No, yeah. I think it's I think the state of go out and see a movie, everybody, man. Come on, dude. We gotta keep the movies alive. I'm gonna rent out a movie theater.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
Nice.
It's not
Do
that
it, nice.
expensive, dude. Now when I'm looking at it, I mean it's really not that bad. You can take a party of 10 for $150.
That's
It's
not
not
bad.
bad. That's like normal movie ticket prices, dude. You know,
sure.
like when you go to a movie, it's like $20 for a fucking ticket, and then you got to buy snacks and shit. And we don't buy snacks, bro. We bring the liquor, and we have the girls put the candy in the purses and stuff. Come on,
Put the Chipotle in the purse.
we know what it is. We know what it is. I make Brandy bring nachos and shit in there, bro. We bring full meals, dude.
Bringing sushi and Five Guys. Make this into a.
I'm in the back cracking crab legs and shit. We can do it, dude. We can bring
They
the
come
movies
back
back
to
from the
clean up
grave.
and go, "What the fuck was going on back here? We got a 5-course meal
Yeah.
like left under the seat."
If I told you I was wearing 2 masks, would you shut the fuck up?
Yeah, exactly.
If I was vaccinated and had 2 masks on, does that count?
God, dude. Fucking mass. You guys are vaccinated, right? You guys got your first round?
Yeah, halfway.
Nice. I don't have a first one yet, so
Slacker.
I'm the
Part of
I'm
the
the only one
problem,
holding
dude.
out. I'm part of the
Yep.
problem, dude. It's hard.
Why
The
we're
VA
still
won't get
wearing
back to me,
masks,
They
dude.
don't want to give me a shot. They
Really?
I just
I think-
waited
I
for
think
them
they're
to
just
contact me, and I was
I
like,
think
"Yeah,
they're just
here you
busy,
go."
dude.
Yeah, I just waited.
9 million people here. There's got to be some unfortunate other fuckers here that were in the military, so they're gonna have a lot of people trying to get shots.
Yeah, you gotta wait for it to trickle down to you, bro, and that should be fine.
Exactly. It'll come soon enough. I'm not worried about it. I got nowhere to be. And if I did, I'd go there anyway. Sorry.
All right. Well, you guys want to call it a show?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
man,
have
it's about that
a
time.
guest. We have one more guest coming up soon to look forward to.
Yeah, we're gonna slot up. I'm working on slotting up a couple more guests. I think we're gonna try to slow it down, maybe limit the guests to once a month. I think that's probably like reasonable for us and just more fun for everybody because everybody wants to hear more of us because we are the stars of the show. I'm just kidding. No, yeah, I think once a month's good, and go from there and see kind of how it goes. But I think that'll be fun. But yes, we're gonna hopefully have another podcaster join us. I'd like to have a buddy of mine come on who also is someone who studied history at Columbia, and we could talk lots of interesting Cold War stuff and like some fun. We can just have fun history podcasts and debate some shit. Stuff like that. So lots of neat stuff set up in the future. Hopefully we'll do another whiskey tasting. Hopefully everybody liked that. I thought that was a great episode. I had a lot of fun. I got drunk as fuck. So I
Yeah,
don't
we
know if
all
did you guys still have leftover whiskey or did you guys flush it down the toilet? Were you not fans or what?
Dude,
I
me,
have
bro.
leftover.
Oh, really? Dude,
Yeah, I don't
you know
dr-
me
I
when
don't.
Lester was like, "Oh, only put like half in." I was like, "Dude,
You're dousing it?
yeah, this hand is heavy, bro. I can't. It all comes out at once.
You gotta pour it in.
I gotta pour it in."
Mike's not a whiskey guy, dude. I got him
Yeah.
pinned. He's not a whiskey guy. We gotta get him
No.
a little something more.
I've it stashed for later though, because I don't like to drink liquor very often, but it's nice to have for when I do want it. I got it. I got
Good.
some good old whiskey sitting at the house now. So
More for me and Rob.
yeah,
That's it. That's it, dude. I'll drink the whiskey for you. But yeah, we'll wrap it up here. It's been a great episode. Thanks everybody for joining us. And yeah, stay tuned, man. We're gonna have some more guests. We're gonna keep trying to up the content. And hopefully you guys are having fun because we're having fun making these for you. So thanks for coming in. Thanks for tapping in. And we will see you guys next week live, 8 p.m. Eastern, Friday. Be there, be
have a
square.
good one.
Thank
Later.
you for listening to Subtle Propaganda. We hope you guys enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on our social media. You can find our podcast anywhere podcasts are uploaded, which include our pre and post show. We will be live next week at 7 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget to tell us how wrong we were in the comments. See you next time.